everybody, and welcome to Vinyl Treasures. I'm your host, Johnny G, John Galindo, coming to you live each and every Saturday only here on Top Shelf Oldies. Want to welcome you to the July 3rd, 2021 Vinyl Treasure Show. Glad you can join Johnny G on this cool, overcast Saturday. It was pretty cool compared to the 3 or 4 days before. It was really hot. I don't like it that hot and humid. And I was sick and tired of the air conditioning blowing behind me. I have like a little cough today. But anyway, I'm glad you're here. We're back to the 1950s and early 60s as we prepare for the 4th of July tomorrow. But we opened up tonight's, actually with a request for listener Mnon. It's the B-side to the Cufflinks of 45 on Duto called It's Too Late Now, which featured Robert Truesdale doing lead on that song. And when they went back into the studio a couple days later to do the to record the flip side for that release, one of the group members was sick. So Dootsy Williams, he said to the lead there, Robert Truesdale, well, look, you play saxophone, so why don't you do a sax solo? And we'll call it something else. So they called the something else. The song was called The Saxophone Rag. And he made up the name for the B-side as Kirk Kirkland and his band. And it came out in August of 1957. That's the B-side to the Cufflinks. It's Too Late Now on Dutone, The Saxophone Rag. And they spelled it with an A instead of O. But the flip side's a great tune, so of course you know it's coming up for next week. But anyway, well, enough of my babbling here. Let's start it off here with the vocal portion. And we open up the vocal portion always with a couple up-tempos. Now, we got a twin spin of up-tempos on William Henry Miller's Acme label. Now, this first one, this group is out of Hempstead, Long Island, and this singer, he was 12 years old when he recorded this. His name is Richard Lanham, and there is an uncredited group backing him up. They are the Tempo Tones. So we open up from January 1957 on the Acme label. That is a cool label. It just reminds me of like the that coyote in the cartoons, when they had Acme at the back. This is Acme Records. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. But it's a great tune to open up the Vinyl Treasure Show with Richard Lanham, the uncredited Tempo Tones on the Acme label. It's called On Your Radio.
I'm sorry, darling, if I'm being
open up the vocal portion there with the Richard Lanham and the Temple Tones, January 1957 release on the Acme record label, their tune On Your Radio. When I show you that, you'll notice the spelling. It's actually spelled Rado. But anyway, I'm back on camera here, and I wanted to say for Cheryl, who's been joining in on the chat room there for quite a while now. So we welcome Cheryl to the chat room, and also want to say hello to her mom. And I take it, Cheryl, are you in the UK? I'm just taking a guess that you're listening over in the UK. So we say hello and give a shout out to Cheryl's mom listening to the Vinyltreasure show. We'll send this next one out to Cheryl here. As I told you, we got a twin spin here on the Acme label. The Richard Lanham came out in January of 57. This one came out in December of 1957. Was the debut single for this group from the Bronx called the Ebb Tides, with their but with their next release, they had to change their name. They became Nino and the Ebb Tides. The song was written by 3 of the group members, including the lead singer. His name is Antonio Aiello, so we'll send this one out to Cheryl's mom. December 57, the Ebb Tides on Acme. Give a listen to their tune. It's called Franny Franny.
Franny, Franny, who's your boyfriend? Franny, Franny, who's your boyfriend? Tell me, Franny, who's your boyfriend now? Whoa, we went steady for you. Now you left me with a tear. Tell me, Franny, who's your boyfriend now? You said you loved me true. I gave my heart to you. You left me all alone. You made me love out, but it broke so fine my heart ain't got a home. Franny, Franny, let me try again to give your heart a love that's never ends. Franny, Franny, who's your boyfriend now? You said you loved me true. I gave my heart to you. You left me all alone. You made me love out, but it broke so fine my heart ain't got a home. Franny, Franny, let me try again to give your heart a love that never ends. Franny, Franny, who's your boyfriend now?
That's the debut single for the Ebb Tides, a.k.a. Nino and the Ebb Tides. Antonio Aiello on lead, December 57, on the Acme label. Franny Franny is the name of the tune. I found that record, that specific copy. It's not mint, but it plays decent. Found that copy at Yonkers Raceway Flea Market in the late 1970s. Paid $0.25 for it. It was fun finding records like that back in the late 1970s when you have no money to spend on 45's. Not till much later when I started making some decent money that I started paying some big bucks for some of the 45's. But you know what? At the time, beggars couldn't be choosy. Johnny G here on a Saturday evening, all 1950s and early 60s. We count down the music chronologically here on the 50s edition, and this one released in March of 1953, but it was recorded November 1952. Now, it's the group's 6th release on Sid Nathan's Federal record label. Now, Now, this song dates back, I think, originally to 1941. I think Al Donahue and his orchestra did this first, but many groups have recorded this through the years. But let's give a listen to this rendition by The Royals. The Royals here, it features Charles Sutton on lead. We go back to March 1953. The Royals on the Federal label, and their rendition of the tune, The Shrine of Saint Cecilia.
Our home is a shambles, all I treasured is gone. The town seemed deserted, everyone so forlorn. A storm came from above, but somehow it missed the shrine of Saint Cecilia. The bells in the chapel never ring anymore. The clock in the steeple can't tell time as before. But up on the hillside stands a place heaven blessed, the shrine of Saint Cecilia. Each day at eventide, I seek heaven from my daily care. You'll find me by her side. It seems so peaceful there. I kneel in my solitude and silently pray that heaven will protect you here and there'll come a day. The storm will be over and we'll meet once again at the shrine of Saint Cecilia.
Those are the Royals there. Charles Sutton on lead. The Royals on the Federal label, Gold Top Federal. Sid Nathan's Federal label with their rendition of The Shrine of Saint Cecilia. Now, this group would later change their name to the Midnighters, did all those Annie tunes with Hank Ballard doing lead there, but that a great tune by the Royals. Let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Have lots of requests for tonight's show, and here's our first here for listener Daniel Kubacki. It's another debut single. This group, though, is out of Harlem, New York. It's on Bobby and Danny Robinson's Red Robin label, and it's an answer song to the Domino's 60-Minute Man. It features the bass lead of Eddie Harshaw on lead. We go to September of 1952 by request for Daniel. Give a listen to the Dewdroppers. The Dewdroppers on Red Robin, and their tune is called Can't Do 60 No More.
Ooh-ah, 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 ooh-ah. Yes, I love you, baby, but I can't do 60 no more. Yes, I love you, baby, but I can't do 60 no more. Yes, a short 30 minutes, all that I can afford. When I first met you, baby, I thought that you were sweet. My head went to spinning and it swept me off my feet. And I love you, baby, can't do 60 no more. Yes, a short 30 minutes, all that I can afford. When I first met you, baby, I took you for myself, but I found out, baby, that you love somebody else. And I love you, baby, can't do 60 no more. Here's a short 30 minutes, all that I can afford.
Yes, I love you, baby, but I can't do 60 no more. I love you, baby, but I can't do 60 no more.
Here's a short 30 minutes, all that I can afford.
Yes, I love you, baby, can't do 60 no more. Anybody better than ain't good. Just a short 30 minutes, that's all your daddy can afford. Because I love you, baby, love you. Love you, baby. 60 minutes, can't
Answer tunes here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. As by request for Daniel Kubacki. Those are the Dewdroppers there, September 1952 on the Red Robin record label. Can't Do 60 No More is the name of the tune. I guess that means, 60 dance steps is what that means. That's their first of two on Red Robin. They have other releases on the RCA record label, also on the Groove label. Let's continue here. Johnny G spinning original vinyl 45s. If you're new to the show, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, click the like and also click the bell to get notifications. Did a couple live shows. I had to test the machine. I had a problem with the KBS. Right now it's at 5,311. I only had it at 2,500, so I don't know whatever that means. My CPUs are at 52.9, and maybe that's good. I don't know, but as long as the stream isn't skipping or, slowing up with that circle, then we have a strong stream. Let's continue now. And speaking of Daniel, on the last 50's show, he requested the Blenders on Joe Davis's JD record label, the tune called You'll Never Be Mine Again. It featured Ollie Jones on lead. Now, Ollie Jones previously recorded with the Ravens. Then he left to form this group, the Blenders. Now let's give a listen to the flip side before I file this one back in the No Humidity basement. Again, it features Ollie on lead. This one from August 1953. The Blenders on the JD label. There's a Q burn on mine. If you listen closely, you'll hear it. And give a listen to this Blenders tune. It's called Don't Play Around with Love.
Do 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 do
Well, take a little advice from me. Play around with TNT, but baby, don't play around with love. Well, mess around with a hungry bear, grab a tiger by the hair, but baby, don't play around with love. Never toy with emotion unless you enjoy big explosion. Well, when you say the words I love you, just be sure each word is true. And baby, don't play around with love.
Take a little advice from me. Play around with TNT, but baby, Mess around with the hungry bear. Grab a tiger by its hair, but baby, don't play around with love.
No, no, no.
Never toy with emotion, lest you enjoy big explosions. When you say the words I love you, just be sure each word is true. But baby, don't play around with love.
No, no, no. Take a little advice from me. Play around with TNT. Mess around with a hungry bear. Grab a tiger by the hair. When you say the words I love you, be sure each word is true. But don't play around with love. No, 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 don't do it.
Take a little advice
Don't play around
with
Look out for that bear.
around with the hungry
Oh, he'll slap you down.
Grab a tiger by the hair.
When you say, I love you, be sure
each word is true.
but don't play around with love.
Yeah, those are the Blenders there. You see, I had a little Q burn in the beginning of that one there. The Blenders, August 1953, on the JD record label. Don't Play Around with Love is the name of the tune. Ollie Jones on lead for that one. Now, the majority of this group's releases came out on the Decca label, but in 1973, I said 71 in the chat room, Joe Davis released a filthy version of this song. Now, instead of Ollie singing Don't Play Around with Love, he uses the F word in replace of play, and you can find it on YouTube. It's the exact same song, but they're all singing along. It's pretty interesting, and really that I don't think Hi-Fi Tim will let me play that on TSO. I can play it on the YouTube channel though, but anyway, I won't do that. That's not right. But anyway, let's continue here on the Vinyl Shredder Show. We move into 1954 with a request for Daniel Kubacki. It's the second of two for this group out of Washington, D.C., but they recorded on Art Sheridan's Sabre label out of Chicago, Illinois. Now, I like both sides of this 45, and they were both written by the lead singer. His name is Fleming Briscoe. This is by request for Daniel. This is not an easy 45 to find. I was happy to get this one. I think Greg sold me this 45. It's from June 54, the 5 Blue Notes on the Sabre label. The name of the tune is called The Beat of Our Hearts.
You know my heart is true. It beats only for you. And if I tried, I still couldn't hide this love that's burning inside. Let our hearts beat as one. Oh, truly true love is fun. Under the moon we will dance to the tune. The tune is the beat of our hearts. For you are my life delight, and let me drink my fill. I love you now, and darling, oh, oh, I always will. Let our hearts beat as one. Oh, fun. Under the moon we will dance to the the tune. The tune is the beat of our hearts. Oh, you are my life's delight, and let me drink my fill. I love you now, and darling, oh, I always will. Let our hearts beat, beat as one. Oh, truly, true love is fun. Under the moon we will dance to the tune. The tune is the beat of our hearts. The tune is the beat of my heart.
That's an excellent request, Daniel. They love that tune there in the YouTube chat room. The 5 Blue Notes, June 1954 on the Sabre label. That is a killer record. I have to agree with Nick and with George. The beat of our hearts. And a lot of people, Joe Shakatano, all those people will send it out to all those guys there and gals. Fleming Briscoe on lead. What a great tune that is from June 1954. Johnny G here on a Saturday evening. Let's continue here. And we go back to the Bronx, New York for this next group. It's their 5th release on George Goldner's Rama record label with Jimmy Wright and his orchestra. It features the lead of Bobby Mansfield. This one from December 1955. These are the Wrens. The Wrens on the Rama label. Their tune is called What Makes You Do, parentheses, the things that you do.
What makes you do the things that you do? What makes you do the things that you do, like talking sassy and being untrue? There's one thing that you really got to learn.
That somewhere along the bends there's got to be a turn.
Oh, what makes you run around with other guys and coming back to me and telling those lies? What makes you do the things that you do?
Baby, don't you know that I love you?
Now I did all that I was able to do, but still you insist on being untrue. It really makes me sad to know that anything I do, I'll always have to face a sassy attitude. Why don't you try and change those foolish ways? Baby, don't you know I'm gonna leave someday? You're so pretty, but you're so untrue.
Now what makes you do the
things that you do?
I'm able to do, but still you insist of being untrue. It really makes me mad to know that everything I do, I always have to face a sassy attitude.
Why don't you try and change those foolish ways? Baby, don't you know I'm gonna leave someday? You're so pretty, but you're so untrue.
Oh, what makes you do the
things that you do? What makes you do the things that you do? What makes you do the things that you do? What makes you do the things that you do? What makes you do the things that you do?
December 1955 release there for the Wrens, What Makes You Do, parentheses, the things that you do. That's on the Rama record label. Jimmy Wright and the orchestra, lead singer there, Bobby Mansfield. All the Wrens records, I have to agree, who said that? Nick, I think, mentioned that all the Wrens releases are great. Also, I don't know, George Goldner flipping certain A-sides with other B-sides of other records. I don't know why he did that. I think he did it. He did it a couple times with some of the groups. They did it with Jimmy Jones and the Pretenders on one record, that that record I played not too long ago. Oh, I forget the name of it. Lover, I think, was the name of it. And he also did it with the Wrens a number of times. 11 Roses, Come Back My Love, multiple flip sides. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, we are in the year 1955. Here's a request for listener Joe Shakatano. I have no info on this group, though. Now, the first time I heard this was when I tuned into the Time Capsule Show with Tom Luciani and Joe Marchesani sometime in the early 70s. Was the first time I heard this record. Joe requested the intended A-side. It was written by someone by the name of Louis Van Dyke. We go to Herman Lubinsky's Savoy Records. This one's September 1955. The Carnations. Carnations on the Savoy record label. Going out to Joe. The Angels Sent You to Me.
The angels up in heaven must have sent you to me, and the good Lord up above has meant this to be. The angels are up in heaven must have mentioned my name. I don't know how they knew that love. I played a losing game. I was alone again. I was thrown again until you came into my heart. Well, you held my hand and life began. You make my life a song. Well, the angels are up in heaven must have mentioned my name. I don't know how they knew that love. I played a losing game. Angels up in heaven sent you to me.
That's another great request for Joe Shakatano. The Carnations, September 1955 on the Savoy label. The Angels Sent You to Me. I think they also have another release on the Enrica label from 59. I know the same writer, Louis Van Dyke. Maybe he's the lead singer of the group. I don't know. Couldn't find any info on that. Johnny G here, spinning original vinyl 45s. Let's continue now. We go back to Chicago, Illinois, with a request for George Tompkins. On the last 50's show, I played the group's second release on Eli Toscano's Cobra label. It was called Born with Rhythm, but George requested, I think, their better side for sure. Their first, written by the lead singer. His name is James Zeke Brown. We move into 1956 now, August 56 for the Calvays on the Cobra label. Put on your dancing shoes again. It's called Mambo Fiesta for George Tompkins.
Dancing around, and all I
August 1956 there for the Calvays. Going out to George. That's a Mambo Fiesta. Came out on the Cobra label. Cobra Records out of Chicago, Illinois. And a James E. Brown on lead there. The Mambo, really a big dance in the 1950s. You can actually, a lot of 50s vocal groups recorded songs about Mambo or a Mambo beat. There's so many. You can do a whole show, if not more, on the Mambo beat. Johnny G here on a Saturday evening. Let's continue here. Up next, a request for listener Nat Papagallo in Naples, Florida. It's the debut single for this group from Brooklyn, New York. It also kicked off Jack and William Angel's new label at the time, Neil Records. This one written by Les Cooper. Les Cooper had a 1962 hit, instrumental hit. You might know the song called Wiggle Wobble, but he wrote this tune for a group known as the Young Lads. It's from August of 1956. It's a kiddie lead here. His name is Ronnie Watson. He's the lead singer. This is by request for Nat Papagallo. I know you have this in your jukebox, Nat. The Young Lads on Neil with their tune called Moonlight.
Moon shines at night, light up the dawn. I love you, darling, so don't break my heart. Moon shines in the night, light up the dawn. I love you, darling, so don't break my heart. Moon shines in the night, moon shines on you, my love, my love. Moon shines in the night, moon shines on you. I love you, darling, so please say it's true. Moon shines in the night, moon shines on you, my dear, my dear. I see the moon and the moon sees me. Oh, God bless the moon, God bless me. Starlight, star bright, I wish I might for you, darling, tonight. Oh, 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 oh. Moon shines in the night, moon shines on you. I love you, darling, so please say it's true. Moon shines in the night, moon shines on you, my
As by request for Nat Papagallo, those are the Young Lads with a kiddie lead. His name is Ronnie Watson. August 1956 release on the Neil label, their tune called Moonlight. I have that on a nice 78. Braden, if I sell my 78s, do you want to buy my mint copy of that song Moonlight by the Young Lads? And I don't know, it plays so great on the 78. I got to do a 78 show, folks, eventually. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. A lot of new folks in the chat room. Thank you all for hopefully you're enjoying the Vinyl Shredder show tonight. If you are, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, like the video and click the bell for notifications when I do some live broadcasts during the week. Did quite a few last week, maybe doing more. Let's continue here on the Vinyl Shredder show. Now, on the last 50 show, I played a request for Joe Shakatano. He requested Jerry Dorn, his first of two on Sid Nathan's King label, and the song is called Sentimental Heaven, and he was backed up by a great vocal group on that. They also recorded on the King label called the Hurricanes, and they're backing them up also on the flip side. And this side here, written by Neil Sedaka and Howie Greenfield. They were a writing team, wrote a lot of hits in the 1950s, also wrote a lot for a lot of vocal groups also. But and there's another writer by the name of Goldman. I didn't look up his name, but this charted number 25 on WMGM here in New York City in 1956. Go to June of 56 for Jerry Dorn on King with the Hurricanes backing him up, and his tune called Wishing Well.
Wishing well, I give my thanks to you. One magic night you made my wish come true. Wishing well, I'm not lonely anymore. Lonely anymore. With your spell, I found love's wonderland. Standing here with a penny in my hand. Wishing well, I'm not lonely anymore. I tossed a coin and closed my eyes and wished for love's sweet surprise. The water cleared and suddenly there appeared an angel before my very eyes. Wishing well, I'm no longer blue, for now I know that miracles come true. Wishing well, I'm not lonely anymore. I tossed a coin and closed my eyes and wished for love's sweet surprise. The water cleared and suddenly there appeared an angel before my very eyes. Wishing well, I'm no longer blue, for now I know that miracles come true. Wishing well, I'm not lonely anymore.
That's Jerry Dorn and the Hurricanes. I think it only says Jerry Dorn. It just says, King was funny. Sometimes they put the group's name, sometimes they didn't. It says with quartet. So, of course, that has to be a group. Of course, you hear them. The Hurricanes are backing them up. Jerry Dorn there, June 1956. On the King label, Wishing Well. Johnny G wishes I had a Wishing Well for all the 45s I don't have, but I just, maybe once I retire, I'm not going to be able to afford those really expensive 45s. I'm going to have to start selling off my collection, and maybe I'll start with my 78s. Braden, save up your money for the 78s. Let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Now, in the last 50 show, I featured the Vocal Tones, another great group out of Harlem, New York, and their first of three on Bess Berman's Apollo label. The song was called I'll Never Let You Go. It featured Bobby Johnson on lead. He's also doing lead on the flip. Now let's send the flip side out to George Tompkins. Also, I think Joe Shakatano likes this one here from August 56. The Vocal Tones on Apollo. It's called My Version of Love.
lovers meet as they walk the streets in search for life's destiny. As they walk along, their love grows strong. This is my version of love. Two lips will kiss, feeling love's sweet bliss, enjoying nature's ecstasy, my version of love. Go through life together and someday find your paradise. Oh, struggle through all kinds of weather, as all lovers must pay the price. Walk on and be happy. Oh, be happy, happy and gay, my version of love. Yes, this is my version, my version of love.
August 56 release there by the Vocal Tones. Going out to George Tompkins there, my version of love. Bobby Johnson, he's the lead singer. Bess Berman's Apollo record label there. This group backed up Miriam Great on earlier releases, the Dovers. That's a rare 45. I have featured it here on the Vinyltreasure show. This copy ever so slightly off center. Actually, I have a white promo on that plays okay. It's a little bit more worn, but I don't know where I got that. John Tefteller maybe a long time ago. And you see, you got to make sure when you get your records that you test them out. It was too late. I mean, years ago when I bought it, I couldn't go back a year later. I didn't play it. I just looked at it and I said, oh yeah, this is mint, and didn't check that it was off center. You collectors got to be careful out there. Let's continue here on the Vinyltreasure show. We head to Los Angeles, California now with a request for Joe Shakatano as we go to Johnny Otis's Dig record label. Now, Johnny Otis also, he wrote this tune for this artist by the name of Billy Mann. 2 N's, Billy Mann. It's the second of 2 he recorded on the Dig record label, and there is an uncredited group on this. Excuse me, and I'm guessing maybe the J.O.'s, I don't know. Could be, but it's still a great tune. September 56, Billy Mann on the Dig label. It's going out to Joe Shakatano. It's called A Million Heartaches Ago.
Where's the love that I knew?
Love that I knew,
And that heart so true.
that heart so true.
Those lips I used to call my own. A million heartaches ago. Life just don't seem the same
Don't seem the same
since I lost my old flame.
Lost my old flame.
Those arms that used to cling to me. A million heartaches ago. I know I should forget you, but my dreams won't set me free. I pray your pride will let you come back home let's make love anew.
Make love anew
In our old rendezvous.
Oh rendezvous
My darling, like we used to do. A million heartaches ago. Where's the love that I knew?
love that I knew
And that heart so true.
that heart so true
Those lips I used to call my own. A million heartaches ago. A million heartaches ago.
million heartaches ago.
As Billy Mann and group there going out to Joe Shakatano, September 1956 on Johnny Otis's Dig record label, A Million Heartaches Ago. What a great tune that is. And he would later record with a group, I think the Electras, he recorded, was a member of the Electras, and also a group called the Delmars. Now, you collectors out there, I think Daryl mentioned it in the chat room, first presses are on the blue Dig label. I also have the pink excuse me, second release that I found local here. I was surprised to find that record. Well, maybe not. Maybe it was played in the area. I don't know. I found it here local somewhere. Although people maybe move from California, move from certain areas, they bring their records and then they put them out in the garbage or they sell them or whatever. But anyway, let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. We are in the year 1956, and last week, 2 weeks ago, I played a request for Daniel, and I had no info on this group, but I was guessing they were out of Birmingham, Alabama, because this label called GG Records is out of Alabama, but Daniel requested the side called You'll Never Be Mine Again, and somebody on Facebook asked me about the flip side. He wanted to see a picture of the record. I said, well, I know you can easily go to 45 Cat and view a picture of this 45, so I didn't really have to post it, but I'm going to give it a spin here for that person. I forget who it was, but we'll send it out to that Facebook person. It's Bill Perry with the Bel Airs, and Harold Price and his orchestra are backing them up. It's 1956 on the GG label, and their tune is called Hoppin, Boppin, and Rockin.
Last Saturday night at the local hall, the cats were having a great big ball. I walked on in and I sat right down. I opened my eyes and I looked around. They were hopping, bopping, and rocking. Just hopping, bopping, and rocking. They were having a ball at the local hall. Just hopping, bopping, and rocking. Saw a little chick and she looked so nice. I just had to dance with her once or twice. Come here, baby, let me dance with you. Let's do some hopping and bopping too. They were hopping, bopping, and rocking. Just hopping, bopping, and rocking. They were having a ball at the local hall. Just hopping, bopping, and rocking. Well, I'm a loving that you know it's true. Baby, I wanna make love to you. I ain't had no crooked line. I know your love would be so fine. They were hopping, bopping, and rocking. Just hopping, bopping, and rocking. They were having a ball at the local hall. Just hopping, bopping, and rocking.
I just had to dance with her once or twice. Yeah, baby, let me dance with you. Let's do some hopping and popping too. They were hopping, popping and rocking. Just hopping, popping and rocking. They were having a ball at the local hall. Just hopping, popping and rocking. Well, I'm a loving daddy, you know it's true. Baby, I wanna make love to you. I ain't handing no crooked line. I know your loving would be so fine. They were hopping, popping and rocking. Just hopping, popping and rocking. They were having a ball in the local hall. Just hopping, popping and rocking. 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 Just hopping, popping and rocking.
As Bill Perry and the Bel Airs, 1956, real rockin' tune there called Hoppin', Boppin' and Rockin'. Came out on the GG record label out of Birmingham, Alabama. Let's continue now. We are still in 1956, and here's a request for listener Nick Nicola. Now in 1953, the Harptones recorded a song that did not see the light of day until 1961, when Morty Kraft, who purchased Bruce Records from Monty Bruce, released it as a collector's item. Actually, collector's 45 on the Bruce label on yellow vinyl. I have a copy. The song was called Loving a Girl Like You. But in 1956, the Harptones backed up this gal. Her name is Ruth McFadden, and they were doing the same song. And but when High Weiss put it out, he changed the title, or maybe the title was called Schoolgirl, but this is called Schoolboy, and it's a request for Nick Nicola and the uncredited Harptones backing her up on this. We go to October 1956, High Weiss's Old Town record label. This is a hard record, by the way, to find. Miss Ruth McFadden with the uncredited Harptones backing her up with a song entitled Schoolboy.
She was not told about loving a boy like you.
I went to school, passed all my tests. Oh, baby, true, along with the rest. But I was not told about loving a boy like you. You came from out of nowhere. What can I do about you? Love is something I've only heard about. Now I know I must find out. You're full of beauty, I'm full of fear. I know my duty is to love you, my dear. But I was not told about loving a boy like you.
Loving a boy like you.
As by request for Nick Nicola there, Ruth McFadden and the uncredited Harptones on High Weiss's Old Town record label, October 56 release, Schoolboy. You wonder what happened with that record there. Raul Sita, he wrote the song originally for the Harptones, and then Maureen Music, somehow High Weiss got involved there and said, well, let's put this out. Who knows what those minds did back in the 1950s. Let's continue here on the the Vinyltreasure show, and on the last 50 show, I played a request for Florida listener Tom Shaughnessy. He requested the Mellowtones. The Mellowtones, a group out of Detroit, Michigan, and their debut single that came out on the Lee label from 1952 called Prayer of Love. He also requested their next release that came out on the local Fascination label, which was then picked up by George Goldner's G Records. So maybe some of you collectors have this on the G label, but it's harder on the Fascination label. And this was a #1 record on WNJR in Detroit, Michigan. It was written by the lead singer. His name is Jerry Carr. This is by request for Tom Shaughnessy, early 1957 release for the Mellowtones on Fascination, and their tune called Rosie Lee.
Well, I got a girl named Rosalie. I want to tell you what she did for me. She took me in when I had no place to go. That is the reason I love her so. You know I love Rosie, for she's done for me. I love her. I'm talking about Rosalie. She's the sweetest girl that I ever seen. She came from down in New Orleans, and I love her, for she's done for me. Well, Rosie, the girl that can't be beat. Everybody whistle when she walks down the street. She got a shake like a tadpole, face like a bear. But when it comes to loving, Rosie is there. That's why I love her, for she's done for me. I love her. Talk about Rosalie. Well, she gave me clothes and she gave me bread. She gave me a place to lay my weary head, and I love her, for she's done for me. Well, Rosie, Rosie, Rosalie, 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 sweet as she can be. Oh, Rosie, Rosie, Rosalie, Rosie, Rosie, Rosalie, Rosie, Rosie, Rosalie, Rosie, Rosie, Rosalie, Rosalie, sweet as she can be.
As by request for Tom Shaughnessy there. He wants the flip side. Next week we're going to play the flip side of that 45 for Tom. That's Mellowtones' early 1957 release on the Fascination label. It also came out on G Records, too. You can get it on G Records. Rosie Lee is the name of the tune. Jerry Carr, he's on lead there. Let's continue here in the year 1957. Here's a request for my #1 California listener, Mady Campboy. This a female singer born in Dallas, Texas. Bobby, she's from Dallas, Texas, but she moved to California. She was discovered by Richard Berry while she was attending Gompers Junior High School in California. She was just 13 years old when she recorded as lead singer of a group, Little Clyde and the Teens, on the RPM record label. But then she signed with Art Roop Specialty Records for 2 releases. Mady requested her first, by request for Nady Campboy, Clyde King from April 1957 on the Specialty label, and the name of the tune is called Our Romance, going out to Matey. By request from Nady Campboy there. That's Clyde King and a Group, April 1957 release, Art Rube Specialty record label, Our Romance, the name of the tune. Now, the interesting thing about this, when I first heard this, I don't know who played this record. Somebody played it on one of the collector's shows. I didn't hear the title or the artist. So I'm going around like a maniac going, do you have this record, Trying to Romance with You? I'm trying to get the title. You know when you're trying to figure out the title of a record and they don't give it? So I'm like, well, what are you told? Who is it? I said, it's by this gal. I don't even know her name. I know it's on the Specialty label. And so I don't know if somebody said, is it Our Romance? Eventually, I ended up getting a copy of this. What's his name? I think he was selling in, I think, Discoveries or Gold Mine. I forget, one of the two, one of the first magazine for so many years down south in Louisiana. And he got into a stock of some radio stations, and he had all these specialties. And I just bought them blind. I said, well, I'm going to buy every girl thing that he has on Specialty. So I sent my bids in. I didn't pay a lot for this record. And lo and behold, when I put it on the turntable, I said, that's the record. That's the record. And I just went bonkers. Anyway, thank you for requesting that, Nady Campboy. Let's continue here. Excuse me, on the Vinyl Treasure Show, and on the last 50's edition, speaking of Matey, she requested the Bop Chords, another great group out of Harlem, New York, and their third release on Danny Robinson's Holiday record label. She requested the B-side of that disc called Baby. It was listener Andrew Turner. He said, Johnny G, you got to flip this over, and we're gonna do this right now. That's a cool side. I like both sides of this record. Features Ernest Harrison on lead. So it's going out to Andrew Turner, late 1957. The Bop Chords on the Holiday label, and their tune called So Why.
Boom, boom, boom,
so why do you make me cry? You know the reason why I'm still in love with you. So please, please don't break my heart in two. I belong to you. I really love you so. I can't believe that you're up my sleeve. So why? Tell me why. You are so true. I belong to you. I really love you so. Why do you make me cry? You know the reason why I'm still in love with you. I can't believe that you're up my sleeve. So why? Tell me why. You are so true. I belong to you. I really love you so. Why do you make me cry? You know the reason why I'm still in love with you. Why do you make me cry? Why do you make me cry? Why do you make me cry?
As by request for Andrew Turner there, that's late 1957. The Bop Chords there, Bop Chords with Ernest Harrison on lead on the Holiday label. Song entitled So Why, the flip side, an excellent ballad, Baby, the name of the tune. Braden, I think you're going to, I'm pretty sure that comes out on a 78 somewhere. Yeah, because I think John Clemente has a 78 on that. Pretty sure he does. Anyway, Johnny G here, spinning original vinyl 45s. We do it every Saturday here on the Vinyl Treader Show here from 10 to 1 a.m. And if you're new to the show, please subscribe to my YouTube page and also like tonight's show, and also click the bell if I could ask you to do that. Let's continue here on the Vinyl Treader Show. Now, here is a special request for a listener. Actually, Nat Papagallo just recently celebrated his lovely wife Bee's birthday, and Nat asked if I could dedicate this song to his wife B on her birthday. So this is for Nat, dedicating this tune to his wife on her birthday. It's the 4th of 11th releases on the Ember label for this great New Haven, Connecticut group, the Five Satins. We go back to September 1957. The Five Satins on Ember, going out to B, the song called Our Anniversary.
Our anniversary is here, darling, yes you know. Love has grown so dear since that year ago. Glad that you're still here, 'cause I love you so. 1 year ago today, yes, we made our vow. Your love, I'm glad to say, I've cherished up to now. Truly hope and pray that you will never go. 'Cause my darling, I love you madly. I need you forevermore. That's why we are married. It's you alone I'll forever adore. Whoa, whoa. Just like most new loves, we've had our ups and downs. Everything's okay whenever you're around. Truly glad to say, happy anniversary.
As Nad dedicates that to his wife Bea on her birthday, September 1957, the Five Satins on the Ember label, our anniversary. Let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. This next tune is a request for George Tompkins. Actually, it's a nice tune to send out to all couples, really. And I know, Matey, you like this song. I knew Matey would like this tune, so it's a cover song. It was first recorded by the Love Notes on the Holiday label, but this group out of Cincinnati, Ohio does a great version, Otis Williams and his Charms, but Otis is not on lead. The lead singer on this is Lonnie Carter. He's doing lead on this. It's on Sid Nathan's Deluxe Records. We go to June of 1957. Let's send this one out to George Tompkins and Matey Campboy. Deluxe Records, Otis Williams and his Charms, their rendition of the Love Notes song, United.
Together we stand, divided we fall. Together in love, or no love at all.
We are united. Together we'll be, forever we'll stay, till eternity. This love will stay, yes, in every way, from now and days to come, and days to come. We are united, you and me. I'll keep you happy, just wait and see. Every star in the sky is a token, oh yes, of true love. Of true love. For the moment seem like years, but I'm glad, oh yeah, just to see. Whoa, 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 the moment, you know it. You became united with me. We are united. This love is real. This is the way all lovers should feel. No more will I roam if I found a new home, as our two hearts now beat as one.
Together we stand.
That's by request for George Tompkins. We're also going to send that one out to Matey Campboy. Those Otis Williams and the Charms, but Otis Williams not on lead. Lonnie Carter, he's on lead. June 1957 on Deluxe United, the cover of the Love Notes tune. Now, this would be the last national chart entry for the group, reaching number 5 on the Billboard R&B chart. They had so many releases on Deluxe and King Records, I think over 50, if I'm not mistaken, for Otis Williams and the Charms. Now, I wonder who that gal was. I have to check a Marv Goldberg site to see if he mentions who the gal was at the end there. Anyway, Johnny G here on a Saturday evening. We continue here. We go back to Detroit, Michigan for this next group. It's a request for listener Tom Shaughnessy, and he was asking me, he says, Johnny G, does your copy of this have a blip or a skip or something in it? I'm going, no. Where is it? He goes, right in the beginning. I said, well, maybe you're listening to another show that taped it off of my show or taped it off of a CD or somebody that was announcing the record kind of talking over it. Dave the Rave says, Johnny G, you need to talk over your expensive records, but Charlene convinces me not to. She convinces me not to, so that's the main reason why I don't do it. But anyway, this is a request for listener Tom Shaughnessy. Came out on a New York City label called Deb Records. It was owned by Julius Dixon. And but the group is out of Detroit. Now, the lead singer on this is Jim Ellis, and this is by request for Tom. And no, Tom, I don't have a bubble on my copy. We're going to give it a spin here. 1958, The 5 Sounds on the Deb label. The full title is in parentheses, You're the, and then it's Greatest Gift of All. For Tom.
Of the gift that he has given us, all the treasures we behold, more precious than diamonds or gold. You're the greatest gift of all, more alluring than silks or satin, more shining than skies above. Be my guiding light, lead me through the night. You're the greatest gift of all. I want you so, my darling. Angel, sent you from above. Heaven knows, my darling, you're the only girl I love. So I pray to the stars in heaven and give thanks to him above all for sending down to me, yeah, the greatest gift of
As by request for Tom Shaughnessy there, the 5 Sounds. 5 Sounds from 1958 on the Deb record label. You're the Greatest Gift of All is the name of that tune. That's now this group out of Detroit, Michigan. Now, Jim Ellis, he's the lead singer on this. And in 1960, Jim Ellis would become the lead singer for the Satin Tones, the same Satin Tones that recorded for the Motown label. That's him prior to those Motown releases. He was singing with that group, the Five Sounds. Johnny G here on a Saturday evening. Let's continue here now in the last 50 show. I played a request for George, a great girl group sound by the Vestels, and I didn't know they were out of Yonkers, New York. The lead singer, at least, was out of Yonkers, New York, Darnell Jessame. She was the lead, and I played the ballad side called Come Home. Now, the flip is a cool up tempo, so let's give it a spin before it goes back down in the no humidity basement. This one from September 1958, the Vestels on the Decca label. It's called Didda Wah Do.
Now, baby, I really love you so. I'll never, never let you go. I need you near me, baby. You are my one desire. You set my world on fire. I need you near me. Well, now, baby, I need you, oh, baby. I do for you, my dear. I'm the one. Be my only love, my well, now I know. I'll never, never let you go. I need you all in all to be my own. Well, baby, I need you, oh, baby. I do for you, my dear. I'll be wild, be my only love, but well, now I know I really need you so. So be my all in all, to be my own. Diddy-wah-do, diddy-wah-pop, diddy-wah-do, diddy-wah-pop, diddy-wah-do, diddy-wah-pop-oo. One more time. Diddy-wah-do, diddy-wah-pop, diddy-wah-do, diddy-wah-pop, diddy-wah-do, diddy-wah-pop-oo. Try it again. Diddy-wah-do, diddy-wah-pop, diddy-wah-do, diddy-wah-pop, diddy-wah-do, diddy-wah-pop-oo. That's all.
Kind of trying to take a lick from the Shirelles, I think, had an ending something like that. Those are the Vestels. They're September 1958. Darnell Jessame, she's the lead singer on the Decca label. Didda Wah Do is the name of the tune. Now in 64, she would become the lead singer of Darnell and the Dreams on the West Side label. Guess that explains why I found that 45, that Darnell and the Dreams in Yonkers, New York, at the Yonkers Raceway Flea Market. Anyway, let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. We are in the year 1958, and we go to Jerry Blaine's Josie record label for a request for listener Emnon. Now, I don't know anything about this group, Emnon. Charlene couldn't find any info on the group. Now, in Billboard pushed the flip side of this record called Young Doves Calling, but Emnon requested the flip from January 1958. They're called the Couplings. Yeah, the Couplings. I always say couplings, but no. They're called the Couplings on the Josie label by request for Emnon. It's called I Can See.
See it in your eyes, I can see. See it in your eyes, I can see.
You play the part of a lover, but way down deep, deep inside, I know your heart has been broken. I can see.
I can see.
As by request for listener Amnon, January 58, that's the B-side there. The Cooplings on the Josie record label, I Can See. Johnny G Can See that. Hope you're digging on the cool tunes tonight on the Vinyl Treasure Show. If you have any requests, shoot me an email at vinyltreasures@aol.com. I'm getting a lot of requests, so I've been trying to limit them a little bit. I'm gonna have to limit them down sometimes. So if you don't hear your requests, sometimes I get a bunch of requests and I'll play them over the next month's show. That would be good. But I kind of mix them and match them. I try to mix the tempos: slow, medium, fast, slow, fast, medium. Try to get a nice flow of the show, and hopefully you're digging on how I do it. But let's continue here. We go back out to California with a request for Joe Shakatano on Ray Dobard's Music City record label, but not much known about this group called the Five Crystals. But this song did receive airplay in the Bay Area, especially on KDIA? I think that's the station in Oakland, California. It features Al Richardson on lead. Now, this also came out on the Delcro label. Dobard had, I don't know what the deal is. I have them both. I got the Delcro release when they found all that big load. Ray Dobard, after he passed away, he owed so much in back taxes that the government seized, I think he had 2 or 3 warehouses, and they auctioned off all the records. And I don't know, this guys had to, I don't know if one guy could afford to buy, all these records. There were thousands and thousands of records. So a lot of them, I think they're still available. A couple of guys are still selling on eBay. They still have the records, and there were a couple, not many of the big Music City records. I still need a couple I need that Lyrics on Music City. I don't have that. And there's one other record. I think the Pagans. I think those are the 2 hardest records on the label. I've never seen a copy of either. But anyway, or no, is it the 5 Lyrics? Yeah, the 5 Lyrics, because I do have a Lyrics record by them. Anyway, Johnny G babbling on here. But anyway, this is a request for Joe Shakatano. It features Alan Richardson on lead, June 1958. The 5 Crystals on Music City. It's called Path of Broken Hearts.
I'm walking down the path of broken hearts. There is no turning once this path you
Those are the five Christelles by request for Joe Shakatano, June 58. Ray Dobard's Music City record label. I featured it on that label, Path of Broken Hearts. And the Delcro has a different flip, by the way. Forget what the flip is on that Delcro release. Anyway, Johnny G here spinning original vinyl 45s. We do it chronologically by year. We are in the year 1958. Now, in the last 50s show, I played a request for Katie of Vintage and Vinyl. She requested the Aquatones with a big hit. Actually, I made a mistake on when I announced that record. I incorrectly said they were from Queens, but no, they are from Valley Stream, Long Island. Katie requested the group's biggest hit. It was called You. It featured the female lead of Lynn Nixon, and she was added to the group because they felt that they needed a female voice. Because originally this was I think it was just a trio, but You was not the A side of the record. That was the B side. The disc jockey started flipping it over. It was listener Darrell Letts. I think he asked Johnny G, can you play the flip? So we're going to send this one out to listener Darrell Letts. This is the intended A side, though. It features Dave Goddard on lead. This one from February 58, the Aquatones on Fargo, and the song is called She's the One for Me. It's going out to Darrell.
Well, she's my baby, my one and only, and I love her so. She's my baby, yes, she real. Don't mean baby, she's for me. When her lips are close to mine, well, she makes me feel so fine. She's the one for me. Words can't tell how I feel when my head starts to reel. Well, she puts me in a trance. All I do is make romance. She's the one for me. Well, she's a sweet little mama with big blue eyes, a smile that puts me in a paradise, a thing that's made for me to hold, and a love for me that never will grow cold. I know I'm right when I say our love grows stronger every day. She's as sweet as she can be. She kisses away my misery. She's the one for me. Will grow cold. I know I'm right when I say it. Our love grows stronger every day. She's as sweet as she can be. She kisses away my misery. She's the one for me. She's the one for me. She's the one for me.
As by request for Darrell Letts, that is the A-side. That was the intended A-side. The Aquatones there with the Dave Goddard on lead, February 1958. The flip side of You, She's the One for Me. And for you collectors out there, the first presses of this should not say distributed by Ampar Music. Actually, you can look at the 45 Cat, thanks to Reed. Reed posted my copy of that record on 45 Cat, so you can see the picture of both sides of my 45. Thanks for doing that, Reed. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, we travel to St. Louis, Missouri for an ultra-rare 45. It's a request for listener Nick Nicola. This is on Emmett Carter's Carter label, and this is really a nice looking copy, but I think they use recycled vinyl when they press this up, so there might be some surface noise on this. I don't know why. That's the way some of the record companies did it, but I'm playing the intended A-side here. The writer of this is Paul Gill, and the Emmett Carter combo is providing the instrumentation. This is a rare record from January 58. It's going out to Nick, the Fernandos on Carter Records. It's called The One I Love. By request for Nick Nicola there. That's a rare 45 on the Carter label. Emmett Carter's Carter label, The Fernandos, January 1958 release entitled The One I Love. Truly a rare 45, rare record there, and not easy to find in any condition at all. But thanks for requesting that one, Nick. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, now on the last 50 show, played a request for Joe Shakatano. He requested the Chateaus, a group out of Newport News, Virginia, their first of 3 on the Warner Brothers labels. The song was called Satisfied. The flip is also good, in my opinion. It features Edwin Hall on lead. We go back to November 1958. These are the Chateaus on Warner Brothers. Their tune is called Brown Eyes.
Someday, sometime, somewhere along the way, I'll love you so, dear brown eyes. You made me weep, you made me sigh when you said goodbye, never died. But I'll love you still, dear brown eyes. Well, but our imaginations, I said of a heaven-bound prayer that the Lord would guide and keep you, just to let you know and care how much I love you and always will. But I'll love you so, dear brown but I'll love you, dear brown
I got caught here. Let me put this other record on here. This is another rare record. Anyway, that is a cool, great two-sided 45. Last week, Joe Shakatano requested Satisfied. The flip side called Brown Eyes. Edwin Hall, he's the lead singer, November 58 on the Warner Brothers record label. That's their first of 3 for the Chateaus. Let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Here's an ultra-rare California record up next. Actually, another request for Nick Nicola. The label's called Futura, Futura, out of Los Angeles, California. The group is called the Golden Nuggets. Have no info on this group, but this is the intended B-side, which is the better side for sure. And the instrumentation is provided by Rocky Rhodes and the California Versatones. Very interesting. I have this on a white promo. This also comes on a stock. I forget the color of the stock. It mentions it in the Kreider book. I'll have to tell you a story about this record because it was a roundabout way that I got this. I didn't pay a lot of money for this copy. I bought it so long ago, but I had to pay double than what it was. And I'll tell you, because it actually cost a dealer probably thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of my money because of he overcharged me on postage, which I thought was ridiculous. It wasn't a lot of money at the time, but it actually ended my purchasing from that person. And I was just young in the collecting hobby at the time, and I spent thousands and thousands of dollars after that he didn't get anymore, but unfortunately. But anyway, I'm glad that I did get this record. This is by request for Nick Nicola, June 1959, a rare 45 by the Golden Nuggets on Futura, and the song is entitled I Was a Fool, parentheses, to Make You Cry.
No, 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 no.
I was a fool.
have done, accept my apology, and I'll come back home. Oh, I was a fool. Would you forgive me?
As by request for Nick Nicola there, that's a great tune. Golden Nuggets, June 1959 on the Futura record label. I Was a Fool, parentheses, to Make You Cry. And I can't tell you the name of the dealer that's lost my business for so many years, because this happened back in the, gotta say, sometime in the mid 1980s. And I didn't pay anywhere near with that, what Reed mentioned. It sells for maybe between $2,500 and $3,000, I think, this record. But Eddie Estrada called me up one day. He said, Johnny G, do you need the Golden Nuggets on Futura? I said, yeah. And so he said, well, send me a check for X, and I'll send you the record. I said, okay, sounds cool. So I didn't mail the check out yet, because it was like Friday late. I said, I'll get it out on Monday. So that Monday, before I sent the check out, I get a call from a dealer. I can't tell you where. And he says, I understand you need the Golden Nuggets on Futura. And he goes, well, you want that record? He says, you want that record, you have to pay me X. And I said, well, wait a minute. I said, Eddie was supposed to sell me that. I agreed with Eddie on, price Y. And so he said to me, well, Eddie doesn't have it anymore, and I have it. So if you want it, this is the price. So I says, okay. I said, how do you want the money? He goes, well, you can pay me by credit card. I says, okay, I'll pay you by credit card. So I gave him my credit card. I didn't think that I was going to be charged. And I don't really care about the postage, really, although I think it's, you want to really piss off one of your buyers. You charge him postage for, a record you just spent $5,000 for. Makes no sense. So, I see my credit card charge, and it's not for $3. It's like $18. It's some bull crap. And I'm talking about a long time ago, and I'm like, what? And it cost him X to send me the record. For that amount of money, it was a ridiculous thing, and he lost thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of my money that I was buying from a bunch of dealers throughout my, and I was always fair. I mean, it was crazy. It was another time I went to a record show, and I think I told you guys this, Jerry Seacrest was set up, I think it was at the I don't know what, it was in the industrial park in New Jersey somewhere. The Raritan Center. Do they still have record shows there? I was in the Raritan Center, and he was there with his partner, and I'm looking through records. I pull out like $3,900 worth of records. Okay, that's a pretty damn good sale. If you have records to sell, if somebody comes in and buys $3,900 worth of records. So he pulls me to the side. He goes, Johnny, me and my partner have owned part of these records, and I can really give you a pretty good discount that you'll be happy with. But on some of them I can't do it because he's not gonna. And I think his name was Dave Reamer. I think he has since passed away a long time ago, unfortunately. He was a diabetic. So I'm standing there. I said, well, where is this guy? He wasn't here. So I think I told you this. There was a lady that was sitting in the chair in the booth, and I said to her, because I'm waiting there like a jerk, I said, look, you want to do this deal or not? And he was busy looking at other records. And I said, I got to go. I got to get back to New York. And the woman there, she was a pretty large woman, and I said to her, "Will you?" And she didn't look that young to me, and listen, we're talking about the 80s here. So I said, "Can you tell your son to get here?" And she goes to me, "My son? That's my husband." I was like, "Holy crap! I'm so sorry, ma'am. I didn't mean any disrespect. I'm sorry. I thought he was your son. No, that's my husband. That is my husband." I says, so he comes over, and she must have told him, he thought you were my son, and he started laughing. So he's talking to Jerry Seacrest about the record deal, and I said, something? Why don't I just walk out of here? Why don't I walk out of here, forget about the $3,900, and we'll call it a day? I don't need to spend all this money on these records here. I'll just walk out. No, John, hold on a second. I'm going to work with you. Don't worry, blah, blah, blah. So whatever the deal was, and I have to hand it to Seacrest, because he was putting them in piles, and he says, Johnny, look, I can do this with these, but the other pile, I said, you know what? Take that out, take that out, take that out. They lost some of the money. I didn't care, and that wasn't the guy that I dealt with the Golden Nuggets record. But you know what? I said, you really want to piss off a buyer of records that you need, that I'll be looking for more stuff. I'm a young collector. I want to buy. You want to have a great deal with the people that you're dealing with. So the whole thing of making money is to have return customers. So a lot of these guys, you want to act that way? You want to nitpick? Okay, let's nitpick. That's it. So anyway, I'm sorry to babble on, but I know John Bit Bop Boom, he likes my stories. But anyway, let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, because I have a request from our number one California listener, Matey Campoy. There's some chatter about this record on my Facebook page too, by the way. It's a duo out of Los Angeles, California. Now, previously, this duo, they were members of the Jaguars that recorded for the Ardell record label. You know the song, The Way You Look Tonight? Now, this duo is Frankie and Johnny, and they are really Manuel Chavez and Herman Chaney, and they are recording as Frankie and Johnny. And this record initially came out on the Sabrina label in April of 1959, and then it was picked up by Liberty, I think, in 1960. But I'm featuring it on the first press. It was written by Tommy Boyce and the label owner who owned the Sabrina label. His name is John Mariscalco. And this is by request for my number one California listener, Matey Campoy. April 59, Frankie and Johnny on Sabrina, and their tune called My First Love.
Love.
As by request from Matey Camp Boy, they like that tune there in the YouTube chat room. Frankie and Johnny, a.k.a. Manuel Chavez and Herman Chaney, April 1959. I featured it on the first label, Sabrina Records. My First Love is the name of the tune. Also came out on the Liberty label. They would have two more releases, believe it or not, in 1960 as Chavez and Chaney on the Spray label. I don't think I have that one, but I do have their 64 release on Blast Off. Frankie and Johnny. I forget what the name of it was. Matey, I think you requested that one also a while back by Frankie and Johnny. Johnny G here on a Saturday evening. We spin 1950s and early 60s 45s out of my collection. If you like the show, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Get notifications when I'm on. Send me requests at vinyltreasures@aol.com. Let's continue here now. A couple weeks ago, I played a request for Nick Nicola by the Don Juans, a rare 45 out of New York City on the Onesie label. It was called The Girl of My Dreams, which was the intended A-side. Let's give a spin to the B-side before this one goes back down in the no humidity basement. This is another rare 45 from 1959, the Don Juans on the Onesie label, and their tune called Dolores.
Dolores, 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 Dolores,
Dolores, Dolores, Dolores, da da da, Dolores, 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 da da da, Dolores, da da da, for Dolores, da da da, my sweet Chiquita, sweet señorita, my own true love, Dolores, da da da, wonderful Dolores, da da da, I love her from the start, and we will never part forevermore. Evermore. She can mambo, do the tango, moving a beat, keeping a beat just like. She can rumba, do the samba, but best of all, she does the cha-cha-cha, oh, 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 Dolores, cha-cha-cha, but Dolores, cha-cha-cha, we do the cha-cha-cha, we do the cha-cha-cha, all through the night, she can mambo, do the tango, moving a beat, keeping a beat just right. She can rumba, the samba, but best of all, she does the cha-cha-cha, whoa, 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 Dolores, cha-cha-cha, but Dolores, cha-cha-cha,
Sometimes we can't find Nick. Hold on a second. Johnny, you got to cue this record up here. Okay. Sometimes, we can't really find records as nice and mint as we want, but actually Seymour Simon sold me that record when he was selling out his collection there. He needed some cash. He says, Johnny G, I need some cash. You need the Don Juans on the Onesie label. Of course, at the time, maybe I didn't have a lot, not that I had a lot of money, but he said, well, I want X for this. I said, well, how does it play? Well, it plays okay, because a lot of times if you went into Times Square Records, it wasn't like they were so keen on selling stuff in mint. They'd get records in and they'd be all kinds of conditions, and everything was like $3 or $1 or whatever it was. So a lot of those guys, they lucked out. Sometimes they got mint copies and sometimes they got VG copies and everything in between. So I was just happy to get some of them. The only ones I couldn't get were I couldn't get his Beatniks on key lock, but I got it. It's not in great shape. I do have a Beatniks on key lock, and the other one he wouldn't sell me was because he had to sell it to Val. It was the that one on the it's the gold label. They have 2 records on that label. It'll come to me. There's not many group records on the label, but it's a gold label. I forget. Anyway, those are the Don Juans, 1959 on the Onesie label. Their tune called Dolores. Let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, and here's a request for Joe Shakatano. This singer was a member of the Sparks of Rhythm on the Apollo label. Also became lead singer of the Pretenders, of the Savoys, of the Jones Boys, and he had a very successful solo career, some big hits on the Cub label. You know the songs Handyman, Good Timin'. But Joe requested one of his really not popular records, or unknown records. It's not that it's not popular. It should have been popular. Unknown records on the Epic label. This one directed by Jesse Stone. We go back to September 1959 for the great Jimmy Jones. Jimmy Jones on Epic by request for Joe Shakatano. And his tune is called Whenever You Need Me.
Come to me in the morning. Come to me in the night. Come whenever you need me. Any time is alright. I am still in your corner, even though we're apart. So whenever you need me, you can call me sweetheart. Believe me, I will be with you, rain or shine. I'll be yours forever, even though you're not mine. If I can't be your lover, let me still be your friend. Come whenever you need me. I'm with you till the
Yeah, liking that one there in the YouTube chat room there. That is Jimmy Jones and a chorus from September 1959 by request for Joe Shakatano. Came out on the Epic label. It's a nice vinyl press Stone Mint copy that I featured, Whenever You Need Me, and directed by Jesse Stone. You see, a lot of time what I was doing also as a collector, I didn't really start out as I wanted to collect every record that came out on the Billboard Hot 100. And of course, my aunt was involved with a lot of vocal group records. And she also, liked a lot of other single artists, Richie Valens and Ricky Nelson. That was her favorite, the Teen Idol. But she had lots of group records, lots of unknown records, because she would buy from the jukebox distributors and she would just listen, and she just listened for sound. And she didn't even care if it was a rare record, and she wouldn't know it because I didn't know at the time either. So I started buying at flea markets and whatnot, and I didn't know a lot of stuff about, is this any good? is, I don't know, in any kind of, I knew who Frank Sinatra was, but a lot of the other pop singers I didn't know. So then I started running labels, hundreds and thousands of labels. And I told the guys, I said, look, if you sell them to me for $1 or less, I said, I'll buy them. And that's how I got a lot of my Northern Soul records, because I was just running labels. And I lucked out a lot, but most of the time it would be country western or whatever, but they were nice copies of stuff. So I may get rid of all that stuff eventually. I mean, I got boppers and a whole bunch of things that I, of course, but I really like this type of music that I feature, and I got into soul music also. So, you know, I would luck out with getting these records by chance. And now when you guys request them, sometimes I surprise myself that I have them. I don't have everything, but I have a lot of things. And, you know, there's a lot of collectors in the same type of collecting vein that I'm in. We're kind of all looking for the same record. So sometimes we'll compete. If they're in an auction, we'll compete, or it depends who you know. And who I used to have. That's why I say when Spence Wooten passed away, I lost all my connection out there, because he supplied me with some great records from multiple dealers. And now it's like it's hit and miss now. And now with the sales tax, I won't buy on. Oh, I did buy a record recently, but I won't buy on eBay. I'm not going to bid like $3,000 on a 45 and get charged, 8.4% tax on top of it. I just hate that. So if people want to sell to me privately, a lot of guys, they said, well, I didn't know you're buying records anymore. Well, because I don't need as much as I did, and I used to look for good stuff to play on the show, but I got a ton of stuff. Hopefully when I retire next year, I'll have more time to go through and kind of go through my triples and doubles, and I might have some extras that I might be looking to get rid of. So in different conditions. So you guys out there that are collecting, please keep in touch with me, because if I have some duplicates and triplicates of stuff, I definitely would be willing to sell them, especially if you guys are listeners to the show. And I won't bang you for a lot of money on the records, really. It's the fun of collecting, and I know that in these times, money is not, it's not like we got a lot of money now anymore. But anyway, let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, as I have another request for my number one California listener, Matey Campboy. And this time we go to a George Mottola produced record here, and these are the Hollywood Saxons. Now, according to Steve Probst and Galen Gart, actually the book called L.A. Vocal Groups, this song was a typical Mottola production, a pre-recorded instrumental track used to accompany the group's vocal. Now, Mottola would get session musicians like pianist Ernie Freeman, who would make arrangements in like 5 minutes, and they would record the track first. This, according to the lead on the song, on this song, which is Stan Beverly. And specific to this song, Stan Beverly said that the key of the track was too low for him when he was listening to the backing track of this. So he was singing in a high tenor, which he said he complained about. And the bass singer on this record is Charles Taggart, and he is the floating falsetto in the background, sort of a pattern after the effect that was created by Jesse Belvin in the Shields' You Cheated. So when you hear that floating tenor in the background of You Cheated, that is Jesse Belvin. And he also, I think, sang on the Saxons, It's True. But here are the Hollywood Saxons, a.k.a. the Capris. So that was another thing that Mottola did. He changed the names of the groups. But this is a great tune. I love this record here. This is by request for Matey Campboy, January 59, the Capris on the Tender label, by request for Matey. It's called Endless Love.
So
darling, as I hold you so tight, with your head on my shoulder, I know our love is right. For I do believe the Lord above created you for me to love. He picked you out from all the rest because he knew I loved you best. For you are the queen and I am the king, and together we will conquer this great thing called endless love. Yes, darling, endless love.
As by request from Matey Campoy there. Everybody likes that tune there by the Capris, a.k.a. the Hollywood Saxons, January 59, on the Tender record label Endless Love. Yeah, George Mottola flipped it with Jesse Belvin, Beware, that came out, I think, in 56 on the Cash label. But George Mottola, really, I call him the West Coast George Golner. But sounds of California here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. I should do an all-California show one day. Let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Johnny G babbling on quite a bit. I have a request for listener Tom Shaughnessy in Florida, and this group is out of the Bronx, New York. They recorded under different names, like the Crafties on the Lois and Seven Arts label. Also, they recorded as the Halos. You may know their 1961 hit called Nag. They also backed up Curtis Lee on his big hit Pretty Little Angel Eyes and Gee How I Wish You Were Here. And the members of this group were Arthur Cryer, Bobby Spencer, Al Cleveland, and the lead singer on this, his name is Harold Johnson. This is by request for Tom Shaughnessy. Let's give a listen to the Cognacs. We could have a drink of cognac. Johnny G can go for a drink of cognac. The Cognacs here on Morris Levy's Roulette record label, December 1960. The Cognacs on Roulette. It's called Heaven Only Knows.
Heaven only knows how much I love you. That's the way it goes. What can I do now that you have gone? I'm sad and blue. Oh, since you've gone away, I've been lonely. How did you forget? My heart was true. Heaven only knows how much I love you. That's where we met. Your lips were warm, your eyes so heavenly. I long for you, dear.
That's from December 1960 by request for Tom Shaughnessy, listening in Florida. The Cognacs. The Cognacs on the Roulette record label. That's a cool tune. Heaven Only Knows is the name of the tune. Let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Here's a request for Evan Blatt. This group is from Brooklyn, New York, and they're called the Impalas. Their debut single on Cub was their biggest hit. It actually was a #1 hit, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry I Ran All the Way Home. But let's give a spin to their fourth release on the Cub label. By this time, they gave credit to the lead singer. His name is Joe Speedo Frazier. And by this time, they were known as Speedo and the Impalas. This one from March of 1960 by request for Evan Blatt on the Cub label. Their tune is called All Alone.
Sometimes I feel all alone, all alone, so all alone. Sometimes I feel I have no one, I have no one to call my very own.
As by request for Evan Blatt, though, it's the Impalas, Speedo and the Impalas, March 1960 on the Cub label, All Alone. You're never all alone on a Saturday evening for listening to Johnny G and the Vinyl Treasure Show. So if you're new to the show, please subscribe to my YouTube page and send me your requests at vinyltreasures@aol.com. Let's continue here with another request for Métis Campboy. She requested the Godfather of Soul. Of course, that is the great James Brown. Started recording back in 1956 for Sid Nathan's Federal and King labels. Really a ton of releases, and along with some cover songs that he did. And here's a cover song that I like, and so does Métis. And actually, my two favorites by James Brown are Prisoner of Love and this one. And this one made it to number 40 on the Billboard Pop charts, number 8 on the R&B charts. This was number 7 on KAFY in Bakersville, California. And let's give it a spin here. This one from December of 1960 by request for Métis Campboy, James Brown and the Famous Flames on the King label. His rendition of the tune, Bewildered.
Bewildered, lost in a dream of you. Where is the love I knew? Why did we fall? Bewildered, love me, how you can love me and leave me bewildered.
As by request from Eddie Campoy there, the great James Brown, and the famous Flames, December 60 release, Sid Nathan's King Records, his rendition of the tune Bewildered. Let's continue as we move into 1961 with a request for listener Emnon. This is by Johnny Maestro. By this time in September 61, Johnny changed the spelling of his name. It was, I think originally, it was Mastrangelo. No, was that it? Well, was it, or I'm losing my mind? It was, but I have here, it was Mastro, and he changed it to Maestro. I don't know if that's right. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But let's give a listen to this request for Emnon. It's actually a cover song. This song dates back to 1936, but there were a lot of groups and a lot of artists that recorded this one in the 50s and early 60s. But let's give a listen to Johnny Maestro's rendition of this as we go back to September of 1961. Johnny Maestro and a group by request for Emnon on the Coed record label. His rendition of the tune The Way You Look Tonight.
Whoa, whoa, the way you look. Whoa, whoa.
When I'm awfully low, when the world is cold, I will feel a glow just thinking of you and the way you look tonight.
The way you look.
Oh, but you're lovely with your smile so warm and your cheek so soft. There is nothing for me but to love you just the way you look tonight.
The way you look. Whoa, whoa, you look tonight. Whoa, the way you look. Whoa, whoa, you look tonight.
With each word your tenderness grows, tearing my fear apart. And that laugh that wrinkles your nose touches my foolish heart. Lovely, never, never change. Keep that breathless charm. Won't you please arrange it? 'Cause I love you just the way you look tonight.
The way you look. Whoa, whoa, you look tonight. Whoa, whoa, the way you look. Whoa, whoa, you look tonight.
Just the way you look tonight.
Cover tunes here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. That's by request for listener Emnon, September 1961 on the Coed record label. Johnny Maestro and a group with his rendition of the tune The Way You Look Tonight. Now we got Fred Clemens gives us the lowdown on Johnny Maestro. I knew it, I just didn't say where was Fred when I needed him. But he says it first was Mastrangelo, then it was Mastro, then it was Masters, then it was Maestro. That's That's the way it goes. Johnny G here, your maestro on Saturday evening, spinning original vinyl 45s. Let's continue here. We go back out to Los Angeles, California with a request for Nick Nicole, another rare 45. I was actually surprised to win this. I saw this record on eBay, had to be about maybe 9 or 10 years ago, possibly. I've been on eBay since 1999, believe it or not. But and Dave the Rave always tells me, Johnny G, if you want the record, you got to bid what you really, really want for it. But again, you know, you don't know if the conditions are right or whatever. But anyway, I saw this record on the Gay Note label, and I had another one. Diaz sold it to me. What's the other record on Gay Note, Nick or Reed or George? Henry somebody and the whatevers. So I said, well, this one's got to be a rare 45, and it was on red vinyl. So I was going to I put a lot of money on this when I won it, and actually I was surprised I got it for such a cheap price, and when I got it, it was in nice shape. So I was really happy to get this 45, and it's a request for Nick Nicola. It's on the Gay Note record label, which is on if anybody knows where this is in Los Angeles, 2534 West Pico Boulevard. Yeah, it was Herman Jones and the Kilts. I wrote it down here. I didn't read it. But this singer goes by the name of Tommy Carter. It's a song he wrote, and he's backed up by a vocal group. So I don't know who this group is. Maybe the Kilts are backing him up, but it's a request for Nick Nicola. June 61, Tommy Carter and group on the Gay Note label. And the song is called Please Find My Love for Nick.
I tried everything I know to get my love back home to me. So last night I got down on my knees and I prayed to the one up above.
As by request for Nick Nicola, Tommy Carter and group, June 1961 on the Gay Note record label, Please Find My Love. I have that on red vinyl. You know, I wonder if there's any truth that red vinyl starts to change color. Like there was a big conversation on Facebook about red vinyl, you know, turning black. And I didn't know if with the sunlight or something. I don't know if that's true. Maybe it's true. I don't know. I'm not a scientist about that. So if anybody knows anything about it, send Johnny G an email. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. Actually, we are into Sunday. It is the 4th of July. Dave the Rave mentioned happy 4th of July to everyone, so that'll be tomorrow if you have fireworks in your area. But let's continue here. We go to Philadelphia now with a group called the Dials, and this is a request. 2 people requested this record, actually had it to play for a while. Both George Tompkins and Nat Papagallo requested this cool tune. This group had 3 releases on the Hilltop record label. I featured their one a while back, their second. Don't have the name, didn't put the name here, Charlene, of it. But anyway, we're going to send this one out to Nat Papagallo and George Tompkins, February 61. These are the Dials on the Hilltop label. It's called No Hard Feelings.
Everyone knows that I love the world. Everyone knows you're leaving me now. I have no hard feelings, no hard feelings. Though you're breaking your back, please, I can't recall. We were so sure that we never part. I no hard feelings, no hard feelings. Though you're breaking my heart, darling, what can I say? You go your way. Oh, it's a shame. I'll never blame you, darling. Don't be afraid, you know. In the future, you should decide that you have been wrong. I've no hard feelings, no hard feelings. Just come back where you belong. Please, come back, darling. Come back where you belong, darling. Come back. Everyone knows. Come back. Everyone knows. Everyone knows. Come back where you. Everyone knows.
As by request for George Tompkins and Nat Papagallo, those are the Dials on the Hilltop record label, February 61 release. No Hard Feelings is the name of the. I think there are other 2 also. School Bells to something, and another one that they do. I have all 3 of the Dials 45's. They're all pretty nice. Let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. We are in 1961. This is a request for Evan Blatt, but I have no information on this artist. I know the label is George Golner's End record label, and I know it was released in July of 1961, but the artist goes by the name of Bobby White. Bobby White, this is by request for Evan. Where'd you hear this record, Evan? Bobby White on End. The name of the tune is called Our Last Goodbye.
Remember when I held you tight, so close to me in the moonlight. It was there that we shared our last goodbye. You were beautiful, oh so lovely. You made me feel so marvelous. Was it fair that we shared our last Words you spoke were so wonderful. Kiss you gave was divine. You whispered my love, my darling. I will love you, yes, love you all the time. Yet today my love finds me in distress, looking for a love with your loveliness, a foolish prayer when we share our last goodbye.
As by request for Evan Black there. That's a nice tune. I wonder if those are the chantels in the background with the chorus. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? Bobby White there, July 61 release on the End label. George Goldner's End Records, Our Last Goodbye. I think I got that for a couple dollars from someone by the name of John Pagnotta. I think he was a big VJ collector. I think I went to Yonkers. He was selling his collection out. He sold a lot of his big pieces, and he had the he wasn't going to sell me the the Charmers on Timely. It had a little crack in it. So he said, I'll sell you this record, but you can't sell it ever. You can never sell this record. So I said, and he had a whole bunch of other records I bought. Oh, I filled a whole bunch of VJ stuff, blues, not any of the big groups, but there were a lot of soul records that he sold me really cheap. And he gave me, I left him, I think he has since passed away, but I left him with my price guide. I gave him my what is the other, who puts that out? The Osborne Price Guide. So he gave me a bunch of magazines, like Bim Bam Boom magazines and whatnot, which I like to collect. I like to collect those. So he said, you can never sell this record. So years went by, and then I was offered a nice mint copy of the Charmers on Timely. So I had 2 copies, and I know, Romanello wanted that record. So I said, maybe I'll do a deal with Romanello on this. It was years later, and I kind of felt sorry, and I really felt sorry I did, because I think I got screwed on that deal with him. So it really didn't sit right with me, but he goes, well, that's the way it goes. But I kind of left that deal bitter, and you never want to leave a deal bitter, but it was. But we won't go into it. Let's continue here with the music here. I got to get to some requests here. Let's go to Wilmington, Delaware now for a request for listener Tom Shaughnessy. Some great requests, Tom. Thank you for these requests. Now, this is on the Candy label out of Wilmington, Delaware. It was owned by James Chavis, and this is the only release by this group. They're called the Grand Prix, and it features the lead of Bernice March. She's the lead singer. This one also came out for you collectors out there in '62 on the Golden Groove label. I have it on both labels, but I've decided to play the original here from '61. This is going out to Tom Shaughnessy, the Grand Prix on the Candy label with Bernice March on lead. It's called Sit and Cry.
Sing, cry, sing, cry, sing, cry, sing, cry.
I sit and cry, 'cause you were so untrue. I sit and cry, all the things hard you try and make me feel this way. I'm giving you all my love, and I'm giving you all my heart. Tell me, could it be you want us to part? And if so, I've only one thing to say, and then you'll be free. Whatever you do, darling, always, please always think of me.
Hey, like that record there in the YouTube chat room. That's by request. By request for Tom Shaughnessy there, the Grand Prix, Bernice Marchand lead, 1961 on the Candy label. Sit and Cry is the name thing. That reminds me of, what is that thing on the Chelton label? What is that group on Chelton? That they do a great record on the Chelton label. Oh, gosh. Johnny G losing his mind tonight. That's all my war stories, as Nick mentioned there. But anyway, Johnny G, let's continue here. Got some more requests here. Got a girl group from the Trinells. That is correct. Thank you, guys. I know my listeners know all this stuff. Anyway, here's a girl group from, is it Hamtramck? Daryl, how do I pronounce this? Do it phonetically in the chat room out of Michigan. Hamtramck. Is that how you pronounce it? Hamtramck, Michigan. That ain't right. This came out initially. This record came out on the Correct Tone record label. Then it was picked up by Brent Records. I have it on the Brent record label. This is by request for listener Amnon. It says written by Richard P. Drapin, aka Ricky D. It features Yvonne Vernay Allen. Yvonne Vernay Allen, she was the gal that sang lead with the Elgins on the Motown record label. Heaven Must Have Sent You. Well, she's on lead here with this group called the Donnays. We go back to July 1962 by request for Amnon. The Donnays on Brent with their tune Hamtramck Check. Anyway, the Donnays on Brent with their tune called Bad Boy for Amnon.
Bad boy, oh bad boy, you could never be friends with your evil way. What am I to do? I'm so in love with you. Why don't you use your head? Our love is almost dead. I've got to know, because I love you so. You cheated and you lied. You could have saved my pride. I've got to know, because I love you so. Cheat, bad boy. Cheat, oh bad boy. Cheat, bad boy. Oh yeah, bad boy. Ooh, with your evil ways, what am I to do? I'm so in love with you. Why don't you use your head? Our love is
As by request for Amnon there, the Don A's with Yvonne Vernay Allen on lead, July 62. Brent Records first came out on the Correct Tone record label, and Hamtramck Mac. There you go. Daryl did it right. I can get it that way. Don A's and now Yvonne Vernay. She's got a on the Songbird record label. Your Touch, I think, is a good tune that she does. Kind of a soulful sound. Johnny G here on a Saturday evening. We are in Vinyltreasure overtime, and since there's no one after me, I have unlimited time. Although I don't know, YouTube doesn't really give me that, so I don't have that many more to go. But we're gonna finish with the requests here. And let's go to Philadelphia for this next request. I think Nat Papagallo requested this, and so did, I think Evan Blatt did too. This group formed at Scott High School in Coatesville, Pennsylvania. And this record first came out on the local Elmar label, and it was picked up by ABC Paramount Records. I'm playing the first press on the Elmar label. It's Little Tommy and the Elgins. Now, Little Tommy is really, his name is Tommy Bryant, and this charted number 17 on WAMS in Wilmington, Delaware. So we'll send this one out to Nat and Evan, July 62. Little Tommy and the Elgins on the Elmar label. It's called Never Love Again.
Never love again. Never love again. My folks tried to tell me what a good girl she was, but they don't realize the heartache she's gone. So don't talk about her. I can live without her. I'll never ever love again. My friends try to tell me, try it over again, but they're not the ones who have to bear the pain. So don't talk about her. I can live without her. And I'll never ever love again. Everyone wants to give a helping hand, but no one seems to understand the girl that I love deep down inside. I'm sorry, oh so sorry to say we had divorced. All my friends try to tell me, try it over again, but they're not the ones who have to bear the pain. So don't talk about her. I can live without her. And I'll never ever
As by request for Nat Papagallo's great two-sided 45, by the way. Featured it on the first label, Elmar Records. You also can get it at ABC Paramount Records, July 62, Little Tommy and the Elgins. That's Little Tommy is Thomas Bryant, and the tune called Never Love Again. Johnny G and Vinyltreasure Overtime. Let's continue here. I received an email earlier this week from Evan. He goes, Johnny G, I have to tell you that Cy Kaplan passed away. And I was like, Cy Kaplan, where did I see that name? Cy Kaplan. Well, he was he wrote the song for Little Joey and the Flips. I said, you mean their biggest hit? You know, their hit song. And I said, well, you know, can you give me more details? Because I was talking to Dave the Rave earlier in the week. I said, Dave, do you know anything about this? I didn't see anything about it, but evidently he was working at some local radio station. I don't know if it was in Philadelphia or where, but his name is Cy Kaplan, and he was one of the writers of this tune here, and it was the debut single for Little Joey and the Flips. Now, Little Joey, his real name was Joey Hall, and this is the first of two on the Joy label, and I like this song. The first time I ever heard this record, I was just a kid. My aunt used to buy a lot of compilation albums for the other records she didn't own, and she had a Roulette LP. Does anybody out there remember the Golden Goodies series? They were compilation albums that Morris Levy put out to try, they always put these, there were like 40 volumes of these things. And the one that she had was, I think it was called Volume 4, because she only stopped at, the early, she stopped, it was maybe in the mid 60s with buying these LPs, but it was Volume 4. It was called For a Dance Party. And one of the tunes was this tune. It was like, I remember the sequence of the records, because it was this song, and then it was followed up by the Bristol Stomp. And that was a 45 she had, but that was a 45 I broke of hers. But anyway, I liked this song for some reason. I don't know, maybe it reminded me of the Bristol Stomp, but this is, I figured, Evan asked if I would play one of the songs, but I was going to play the release on Cameo, but I wanted to play one that I guess Cy Kaplan, in memory of him. But anyway, this is going out to Evan, April 62 on the Joy record label. This record charted 33 on Billboard, 30 on Cashbox, was a big number 2 record if you were listening up in Seattle, Washington to KOL, was a number 2 record up there. April 62, Little Joey and the Flips on Joy. Bongo Stomp going out to Evan. As by request for Evan Blatt there, Little Joey and the Flips. Little Joey is Joey Hall. Yeah, Joey Hall on lead, April 62 on the Joy record label. That was a pretty big hit for Little Joey and the Flips, the Bongo Stomp. I have their other record, and then they have another one as just Joey, I think, on the Cameo record label. Johnny G here. We're counting down some more requests here. Here's a request for Nick Nicola. This record, or actually a rare record, out of Bridgeport, Connecticut on Emil Sognas, I think that's how you pronounce it in Italian, Mab Jab Records. It's a division of House Records. This singer goes by the name of Frank Harris with a group, and he wrote this tune. I remember buying this when I went one of the Allentown, PA. I haven't been to Allentown, PA in a long, long time. But Greg got there early. I mean, he's usually there the whole week. And, they don't only look for themselves, but they look to resell. And some people come in from off the street and they bring in some pretty cool records. And, the other guys are like vultures. They all run to their tables. That's how it works there in Allentown. So he comes to me, he goes to me, Johnny G, do you need this record by Frank Harris? It's a pretty rare record, but I just found 4 copies. I'll sell you my best copy, I think he charged me $150, I think at the time, for the record. He had 4 of them, probably got them, for something cheap there at the time. And of course, I'm, wheeling and dealing there. I go there with a big wad of cash in my pocket and my checkbook. And I got good credit with all those guys there. So anybody that knows me there, they'll take my check. But some of the guys, of course, they prefer cash. So, of course, he needed the cash to buy something else. But I bought it. It's a nice copy. It's a styrene press, and it's a request for Nick Nicola. November 1962, Frank Harris on Mab Jab Records. It's called A Sweet Dream.
A sweet, sweet dream I had of you last night, my darling, that I want to come true. This dream I had was late in the over you.
That's George. You're making me laugh. You need a note. George needs a note for church tomorrow. Okay, I'll give you a note, George. Anyway, that's a great request there for Nick Nicola, November 62. Record doesn't turn up, and it's styrene. I hate styrene 45s. Hate. Frank Harris and a group on the Mab Jab record label out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. A Sweet Dream. Let's continue here. A few more records here to go. This is a teener sound, a request for listener Emnon. This gal, she's from Howard, Ohio, and she wrote this tune. She was just a junior in high school. It's on Andy Apperson's Hilltop label, and there's a group backing her up. They're called the Vernon Heirs, and they were from Mount Vernon, Ohio. And I know Mount Vernon, New York, but not Mount Vernon, Ohio. This one from March 1962. This is by request for Amnon. It's a teen sound on the Hilltop label. Her name is Shari Drake with the Vernon Heirs. And I think there's a picture sleeve on this. I don't have it, but it's called Please Be Mine. This is going out to Amnon. Sounds like they kind of ran out there, but that's by request for listener Emnon, March 62. Her name is Shari Drake with the Vernon Heirs on the Hilltop record label. Song entitled Please Be Mine as we wind down here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. And is this group, let me see, earlier we heard from a group called the Chateaus. This is a different group of Chateaus, by the way, but this is a request for Nat Papagallo. This group is out of Bridgeport, Connecticut, founded by Paul Lecca, and the members included Dale Frashure, Paul Lecca, Gary DiCarlo, Johnny Castle. They first recorded as the Glenwoods in 61 on the Jubilee label. Then they changed their name to the Chateaux. So this is a completely different group than we heard earlier from the Chateaux. They had this release on the Coral label. And it features Johnny Castle. He's the lead singer here. And this is by request for Nat Papagallo, June 63, The Chateaus on Coral. The full title is called Honest I Will, parentheses, My Pledge to You. This is going out to Nat.
Oh,
happens through laughter and tears. We will have children when you are my wife. We'll cherish them always for the rest of our life. Honest we will. Honest we will. Yes we will. All this I say, dear, I swear it is true. Please believe my pledge to you. My pledge to you. My pledge to you. Tra-la-la, tra-la-la, my pledge to you.
As by request for Nat Papagallo there, those are the Chateaus, June 1963 on the Coral label. Honest I Will, parentheses, my pledge to you, and you are correct. Well, anyway, first, Johnny Castle, he's the lead singer. Now, Gary DiCarlo was a member of this group, and Paul Lecca later became members of a group called Steam, as Reed mentioned in the chat. Very interesting. As we continue here, really got 1, 2, 3, 4 more records I'm going to try to fit in here. And this is a request for my number one California listener, Matey Campboy. We are in the year 1963. I have no info about this group. They're called the Dewdroppers. This came out on the Jeff record labels from July 1963. I like this record. Didn't pay a lot of money for it, but these are the Dewdroppers on the Jeff label. It's called No Other Guy. This is going out to Matey Campboy. That girl group called the Dewdroppers, July 63, came out on the Jeff record label. That's by request from Matey Campboy. No other guy like Johnny G could play all these cool 45s. Hope you're digging on the cool tunes. 3 more 45s to go before we sign off here. And I had this request I couldn't find it. Finally found the copy. An old request for listener George Tompkins. Originally, this record came out in 1960 on the Dynamic label, and then came out again. They re-released it in 1963 on the Ball label, and it came out again on the Hank label. I think Hank without a group, but this is a different version. It's a re-recorded version from the Dynamic release in 1960, and they made a mistake on this. They left off the S off the group. It's Henry Strogan and the Crown. They dropped the S off here, so they messed this up. But he wrote this song and produced it. This one from 1963 by request for George Tompkins, Henry Strogan and the Crown, although it's supposed to be Crowns. This is the Ball 45. It earlier came out on Dynamic, and the song is called Why Did You Go Away? Request for George Tompkins there. That's Henry Strogan and the Crowns, 63. Featured it on the Ball record label, Why Did You Go Away? Let's continue here. 2 more 45s to go before we sign off here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Don't want to go in YouTube jail. But this group is called the Meridians. And this is a request for listener Emnon. There were 2 different Meridians groups that recorded on this Parnasso label. Interesting thing about this record is my aunt had a copy of this record in her collection, but her copy is worn and trash. I ended up getting a better copy of this. But the one Meridian group, the later group that recorded for Parnasso, is out of Brooklyn, New York, and the song that they do is called Blame My Heart. Now, the second group, my understanding, is they are from the town that Johnny G is in. They're from Terrytown, New York. And this tune written by Horace Ott and Don Covey, and it features Roger Bruno on lead. We go back to August of 1964 for a group called the Meridians. The Meridians on the Parnasso label, and by request, a request for Amnon, the song is called Blue Victory. It's the A-side of the 45.
Hail to me for a blue, blue victory. I'm the winner of her love. That's me, that's me. I took her away from him with just a few sweet lines, but she brought only misery to this heart of mine. Hail to me for a blue, blue victory. As I walk down the street of misery, when I won her love from him, I didn't realize that with the victory I won the tears that he once cried. Now I'm walking in the footsteps of the guy that I thought I played for a fool, but he knew all the while she could never be true. She breaks every rule, so hail to him for a happy victory. For he's the winner of happiness, not me. I thought I was being smart when I stepped between their hearts, but I'm a loser and the victory belongs to him.
Hey, excuse me, folks. Anyway, that's by request for listener Amnon there. August 64, the Meridians on the Parnasso record label with Roger Bruno. He's the lead singer there. Remember, when you see Horace Ott on the label, and this is Horace Ott and Don Covey, they wrote the tune, a song entitled Blue Victory. This group out of my town, Terrytown, New York. Anyway, that's going to do it for Johnny G and the Vinyl Treasure Show. I want to thank you for joining Johnny G, listening to original vinyl 45s out of my collection. You want to get in touch with me, send me your requests at vinyltreasures@aol.com. If I have the 45, I'll play it. If I don't, I'll look for it or ask around. I can still ask around for some of those rarer records, and some of the guys know what I'm looking for, so they'll contact me anyway. But I'm always looking for cool records, and the listeners of this show come up with the greatest requests, I have to tell you, and you can tell from the chat room all the response. So it's great that you guys know these songs, okay, and it's kind of odd and weird that I have them, but again, it's a lifetime of collecting. Like I said, I don't have everything. I have most, but not all. But anyway, I'm glad to accommodate many of you with a lot of your requests. There are some that I don't have, and I go back and forth with the listeners, and I say, I really don't have that one. Can you send me another one? And usually the next one, 99.9% of the time I have. Again, thank you all for helping me create this show. Of course, Charlene is a big part of it too, by the way. But anyway, we're going to close the show tonight with a request for my number one California listener, Matey Campoy. And she always gives us great requests here that we appreciate on the Vinyl Treasure Show. This group is out of Brooklyn, New York, and you know their biggest hit was a big number one record for RCA Records back in '61. If you know the song The Lion Sleeps Tonight, not one that I'm really crazy about. I really wasn't crazy for a lot of their RCA releases, but their other records that they do, I am. Their first release came out on Melba Records in '56. I like that one. The one on Warwick is pretty good. Tonight I Fell in Love, a short record, but a great record. They have stuff on Laurie. Please Write's a great tune that they do. And the last label, well, they also recorded for Warner Brothers, but this one that Matey requested was on the BT Puppy label, and it's actually the B-side. The A-side was popular, called Swing, but the B-side is actually a really good doo-wop sound by the group, and it's their first, it kicked off their label, which was called BT Puppy. Bright Tunes is their production company, and it kicked off the BT Puppy label, and it's their first of 12, and it features Jay Siegel on lead. This one from April '64. Our closer tonight, which is a request for Matey, is by the Tokens on the BT Puppy label, and their tune called A Girl Named Arlene. That's going to do it, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please tune in tomorrow evening for Dave the Rave spectacular 4th of July Relics and Rarities. He said he's going to have a lot of fireworks tomorrow. I don't know what that means, but tune in tomorrow night to find out, beginning at 9 o'clock, 9 to midnight, right here on Top Shelf Oldies. I'll be back next Saturday with more sounds of the 50s and early 60s vocal group harmony and all your other requests. Again, thank you so much. Thank you, Charlene, for all your help. Thank you, the listeners. Everybody, enjoy your long weekend. I'm looking forward to relaxing on Monday. Tomorrow we have fireworks here at 9 o'clock. I'll see if I can see them from my window. Maybe Barbara and I will look at the fireworks on the window. We'll see. Anyway, thank you all, folks, again. Stay safe. I'll see you next Saturday at 10 o'clock. Please subscribe to my YouTube website if you're new to the show, and click the bell to get notifications. Also, like the video, very important, as I get statistics from YouTube all the time. Again, tell your friends about the Vinyl Treasure Show. All right, everybody, take care. Enjoy the 4th. Just want to say, everybody, so long for Matey.
She'll always care. A girl named
Okay, folks, that's going to do it for tonight. Let me show you the two Johnny G is beat. It's actually hot up here. I don't have the AC on. It's nice and cool out. It says it's 59 outside. I think it was cooler last night. I mean, it was pouring rain. Here's that Parnasso label. Reed, do you have this 45 here? The Parnasso record? See, it's out of New York. It's interesting. There's actually a lot of records out of... I have a Johnny and Joe record, which has an address here in Terrytown. I actually went there. It was the Baptist church. And I was like, this is the address that they're given for this record. Who knows? But anyway, that's this one. The other side's pretty good, too. It's called Have You Forgotten? It's a good record. And... I have this one that Matey requested. It's a girl named Arlene. I have this on an orange label, but it doesn't look like a West Coast press. So I don't know which one is first. I might have brought it downstairs. But this was the A side, Swing, which I'm not. The flip side is excellent. And I think Ed Engel put this out by another group, if I'm not mistaken, that they may have done it first. But anyway, folks, thank you all for tuning in tonight. And again, I'll be back next Saturday with more of your requests and more rare 45s out of my collection. Again, thank you all so much for tuning in. And like I said, enjoy your 4th. And again, I'll see you next Saturday. Don't forget your requests, guys. And there are lots of requests there. So we'll see if I can fit them all in. I got so many that I need to fit into the show there. And they won't let me stay on longer. They start giving me problems. I'm surprised I'm on this long now. It's already, what time is it? As I'm looking, I'm surprised I'm not getting any nasty, caution signs. But again, thank you so much, folks. Everybody take care. Bye-bye. So long.